you just want the best image you can get, then unfortunately, I'm gonna say it now, Micro Four Thirds is dead when it comes to the best possible image.
So people have been saying that Micro Four Thirds is dying out, or as you've heard in the intro, Gerald Undone has said that it's already dead. So why am I talking about one? Well, that's because the GH6 is such a special beast that I think it is a great production camera that does not get the hype it deserves. And in some ways, it's even better than an S5 IIX. So the question really becomes, can the GH6 compete for filmmaking? And if so, should you buy it? What's going on, YouTube? My name is Jeremy and I run and operate Levison Productions, which is a production company based in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I created this channel because when I was starting out, I didn't really find the help in certain areas that I wanted. And so I wanted to tackle those areas, but also to talk about mistakes that I've made and how I've fixed those mistakes, and also to talk about gear that has helped my filmmaking career. And if that's something that interests you, please do not hesitate to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to be notified when I post more videos, which I hope to do of more in 2024. It's no secret that the GH6 is a Micro Four Thirds mount camera, and a lot of people have labeled this as a downside. But for what I do, and honestly for what most people use cameras for these days, it's really not a problem. And to kind of confirm this, the camera can shoot in 5.7K ProRes 422, but also 5.7K H.265 420. Now, I used the 5.7K ProRes for a spec ad that I shot, and the detail was so crispy. I was able to zoom in and punch in when I needed without any detail loss, and it was really easy to color grade and manipulate in post by adding graphics, VFX, titles, all of that. It even has a 5.8K open gate or anamorphic mode, and if you shoot in this mode, it allows you to crop easier for horizontal and vertical content while still being able to punch in and retain this detail. You do lose a little on the color side as it's only H.265 420, but it's the same with the S5 IIX in the 6K mode, which I'm shooting in right now. And what's awesome is to find them for about $1,000 used. If you look hard, sometimes they can be around $1,100, $1,200, but they are generally a $1,000 camera. Kind of stemming from that first point, but an essential aspect of video production is dynamic range. And the GH6 definitely has decent dynamic range, which is sufficient for most video production needs. I really haven't encountered a situation where the dynamic range posed limitations, except in low light conditions. But this is partly because most of the work that I do is lit with multiple lights, and I'm able to kind of take control of the scene. This camera is really good at holding dynamic range in most scenarios. As I was alluding to earlier, this camera really shines when you're able to take control of your scene with lights, like in corporate interviews, films, etc. Now, you can see that the GH6 charts aren't as great as the competitors, both in that price range and a bit above, but that is one place where Micro Four Thirds does not shine. So you will get more dynamic range with full frame cameras, even APS-C cameras, because the Micro Four Thirds mount there are some downsides to it. Now, it's no secret that Lumix packs their cameras full of filmmaking tools, and this camera is no different. If you look at what it offers, it has like histogram, waveform, shutter angle, log, IBIS, dual card slots, ProRes, SSD recording, RAW recording, and the list goes on. Why this is important is you can use these tools to make sure that your exposure is correct, that the color is good, and that the skin tones are actually going to look good. The shutter angle is, for me, important because I'm able to know that when I change from 60 frames per second to 23 or any other different FPS, that the shutter speed is going to match that, and I don't even have to think about that. One other thing that I love is that it has tally lights. So if you do have to be away from your camera for like a big conference and you're running multiple cameras cameras and you've got to walk around to make sure all the things are working, you are able to see on the front of this camera a little red light that shows that it is recording, it is on, and is ready to go. These cameras are really just packed full of features that are on higher end cinema cameras, other than some like the FX3, and also in monitor, so you can kind of have the functionality without having to run an external monitor. So kind of going with that point, you also, as I mentioned, have raw recording. And what this does is it brings it more to like a cinema camera feel. You've got 12-bit B-RAW or 12-bit ProRes RAW, which in certain scenarios for run and gun documentaries, for run and gun short films, for different types of filmmaking, having that raw recording and being able to change things like exposure in post or white balance in post is really awesome. And then you also have that 12-bit color, which allows you to really push and pull the image more, allowing for a more cinematic or Hollywood type look. So it's really awesome to have this raw recording. And the last thing we're going to touch on very quickly is just the body feature. This camera is very resilient. Number one, I've had it in pouring down rain. I've had it in cold, and I've had it in 120-degree heat. It's filmed rodeo, it's filmed everything that I could think of, and what's awesome is that this camera can take a beating, more than most cinema cameras that I know, but you also get a lot of customizability on the camera. So you have two function buttons that you can customize, but you can really customize all of the buttons on the camera, along with the little D-pad thing as well. So there's just a lot of functionality that this camera brings, and it's also very ergonomical. So if you're just hand holding it, and you're going minimal, it's going to be great. And then you pair that with like the IBIS and it's going to be very stable. So again, just a very overall awesome camera. Now, everything is a tool, and a great TP could shoot a masterpiece on the GH6, even though it is limited compared to an ARRI or a RED camera. But that's not the point of this video. For $1,000, you can have a camera that can shoot RAW, ProRes, and up to 5.8K/5.7K. I know that it is an MFT mount, but being able to shoot that high of resolution, packed with all of those video features, really makes up for those downsides. The GH6 really changed my career and trajectory, and it's captured some of my best shots and gotten me to the point where I'm at, and I love this camera. I do find the S5 IIX has its place, like this, but also the GH6 does too. So I said at the start of the video, should you buy this camera? And I cannot answer that for you because I don't know your personal finances, I don't know what you do. But I don't think that this camera should be overlooked for something like an S5 II or an S5 IIX, because I feel like what it offers for such a low price point, the ability to adapt tons of different lenses to it, there is a place for this camera. For most of my production work, for a lot of the short films I'm going to shoot, for some of the commercials that I'm going to shoot, for a lot of the things that I'm going to do in the new year, the GH6 is going to be a main focal point for me. I think that the GH6 offers so many great features, and while the S5 IIX has it beat in dynamic range, in full frame and autofocus, I do feel like the S5 IIX is more geared towards like photo and hybrid than the GH6. The GH6 is a full video camera, and so it's geared towards video. And I've never struggled with this camera in any scenario other than low light, and that's only when there's just not enough light coming in. Again, should you buy this camera? I don't know, but I can highly recommend it, and I can say with certainty that it is phenomenal. And honestly, I like it more than the S5 IIX. I just find that the S5 IIX has fit into my workflow a little bit better recently. But when I start going back to corporate interviews and productions and things of that nature, I'll be pulling out the GH6 a ton. So With that, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you use the GH6 and you like this review, please comment below. If you don't like the GH6 or you really do think Micro Four Thirds is dead, please also comment that below. I'd love to have conversations about these kinds of things in the comments. If you like this video, please hit that like button. If you want to subscribe to see more content from me, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to be notified when I post more videos. With that, I hope you have a great day and you stay safe.